Three, two, one.
Peace, family. Mensah here, ready to answer some questions. Drop it.
Do you see Africans as your brothers and sisters?
Yes, I see Africans as my brothers and sisters because I understand white supremacy is a global issue, and no matter where you go on the planet, you know, our people who look like me, darker than me, even light skin, are all treated the same exact way. We're all treated badly. We're all oppressed. So I understand the bigger picture that we're all brothers and sisters. We go through the same problems. Our hair grows the same, and we all family. We want family.
Right. Back in the 1900s, we had more businesses than we do today. Why do you think that is?
I think back in the day, we understood, we understood our problems, and we knew that we couldn't, you know, integrate with the enemy. When we were segregated, we had more opportunities because the white man didn't infiltrate, and you know, we was just self-governed basically. But when we got them involved, they started to take over, they started to control it again, and that's when we started losing access to all of that. And the trade schools, they started taking all that shit out. So now our people don't know about plumbing, we don't know about being an electrician, we don't know about any of that. So that's why we started losing all the businesses, and we at where we at now.
Okay, should we send our children to white schools or should we build our own?
We should build our own schools because, going to a white school, they're not they're not going to give us the proper education. They're only going to teach us his story. They're not going to teach us our true African history, our legacy, our ancient civilizations. They're not going to teach us anything that we need to be successful, anything to change our mindset into actually believing that we could be great. They're only going to keep us in a slave mindset, the mindset of working the 9 to 5 for the enemy, and that's not going to get us anywhere. So building our own schools. That's why I respect Dr. Umar, who will be
Right,
here later.
right. Now, are we free?
Are we free? Technically, we are free and we have the power to be free, but we don't understand. I'm going to say it like this. Individually, we are free. Physically, we're free. Mentally, we're not free. And that is the problem because we're still relying on the enemy for our food, our water, our education, as we were just speaking about. We're still relying on the enemy for our clothes. We're still relying on the enemy for housing, all of that. So we're not free. We're still at the bottom of every system. You know what I mean? If you go to Africa, our people don't control the resources. You know what I mean? So we're not free. We don't control any of the land. In America, this is our land too. We don't control any of the land. Same with Europe. Europe's our land too. We don't control any of the resources. And, we're still what you would call a slave to the system. So we're not free. Mentally, we're definitely not free. And mental slavery is the worst form of slavery.
Right.
So, hell no.
So, what's your definition of being free?
My definition of being free is African people as a whole, you know, basically self-govern. We don't have to rely on the enemy for anything. You know what I mean? If we want to go get a home, we don't got to ask the white man for permission. We do that on our own. If we want water, if we want food, if we want clothes, we want shelter, that's our job. You know what I mean? For our people. We don't need to we don't need to ask the white man for anything. And that's what we need to understand because we need to understand we the one that taught the white man everything. So, you know, we need to understand that we don't need them. And once we understand that, we're free.
Do you often support black-owned businesses?
I support black-owned businesses. Um, I don't do it as much as I want to because, I'm self-governed. So it's harder for me to, you know what I mean? Plus, I still live in a hooded area. So it is difficult. I'm not going to lie about it. I want to get to that level where I can support black-owned businesses 100% of the time. But as of right now, still living in a hood area, I'm self-governed it's kind of difficult. But that's the only reason why.
Right, right. And the last question. If our ancestors were here today, what would they say to you?
If my ancestors were here today, which they are, they're everywhere, they even within me, they would tell me, keep going. They're proud of me, and they're supporting me on the journey I'm on. It's not a coincidence that we here in Nat Turner land. You know what I mean? We're in Nat Turner land right now for my, my first ever, speech, lecture, whatever you may call it, on my birthday twin. Nat Turner's my birthday twin. It's not a coincidence I was chosen to walk this path, right here. So I believe they'll be proud of me, because I'm using my platforms to free the minds of my people. Everything I do, even when I travel, I really travel for revolutionary work. I travel to learn more about my planet, bring the knowledge back to the people, you know what I mean? So that's the journey I'm on.
And what do you have to say in conclusion?
More unity, more unity in our communities.
Right.
More unity in our communities, because we're all we got. You know what I mean? We don't have no friends. Our ancestor, one of my favorites, Dr. John Henrik Clark, taught us that we have no friends. This is why this multiculturalism stuff is just BS, because if you go to Kemet, there are depictions on the walls and the hieroglyphics that show that we had enemies since day one. So once we understand that we have no friends and we all we got, it's going to be more unity.
All right. That's the Mensah interview. All right, Druryville.